actual animated film that takes place after and during the episode, so it was pretty much unique, and it still holds up well. The animation back then was amazing, and it still looks good to this day, although there are some problems, but not a lot of problems. So let's jump in. So Star Wars The Clone Wars opens up with a recap of Yoda narrating the Clone Wars and how the tides have turned for both the Republic and the Consistory of Independence, because Count Dooku is going around planet to planet gathering more allies, and the Republic is running extremely low on Jedi, but they have a lot of clones. So basically the plan is that they need to go, there's this big war in the planet Yavin, and Master Windu cannot go because he's on another planet fighting another battle, which we'll get into in a minute. So they have to, of course, Chancellor Palpatine decides to send Obi-Wan. Yoda decides to send him. Chancellor Palpatine just agrees. But then they start to realize that, well, there's going to be a big battle in space, so how are we going to get there? So Chancellor Palpatine suggests, why doesn't Anakin lead the battle? And of course, Obi-Wan disagrees with it. He says he doesn't think Anakin is ready for the responsibilities, even though Anakin is the greatest pilot in the Republic. So it makes you wonder, why not have him lead it? So it's actually kind of awesome, because once again, we get to continue with how Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship are doing. It's not doing good. Anakin is now pretty much more powerful than any other Jedi or Padawan. So, of course, he sometimes disobeys his master's orders, even though Obi-Wan tells him not to do it. So, we see the big battle go on, and then we get to Obi-Wan, who recruits these ARC troopers who are pretty much like Black Ops, except they're clones. They are the best of the best. They're led by the commander. I don't know his name, so don't ask me. So it is awesome. I like seeing the clones do all this stealth, and he mostly communicates with them through hand signs like that. So, of course, it's very awesome to see them, it's very awesome to see how these clones do their jobs. So we cut back to Obi-Wan leading the fight, and it's going pretty good. They're almost done. But then the Separatists, have to send out somebody to get them, because the Republic Jedi tanks are destroying their town. So they send in this bounty hunter named Dodge. Now, Dodge is, of course, no ordinary bounty hunter. In fact, he probably is the most badass bounty hunter ever. He's got laser deflective shields that can actually block lightsabers and light whips. He's got 2 guns. He's got spiked projectiles like the Black Widow has, stunners, he has a jetpack, and he's got his own badass bike. So he's pretty much trying to put Boba Fett and Jango Fett to shame. So yes, we see, Obi-Wan realizes that, hey, that guy is destroying our cannons. We got to do something. But here's the main thing that concerns me. Obi-Wan actually dresses up as a clone, and why he needed to do that, I don't know. I guess he didn't want to mask their presence. But then we actually get to see Obi-Wan and Dodge fight. And we see that, Obi-Wan does not know who he's dealing with, because Dodge is a brawler, so he pretty much does kick the shit out of Obi-Wan. But Obi-Wan, finally is able to block everything. He's able to block his fire, his flamethrower, his projectiles, because of Tutaminis. Tutaminis, if you do not know, is a type of force power that most Jedi have, and it actually allows them to absorb and deflect radiation and projectiles, which is pretty cool and badass. So we see Obi-Wan use that to his advantage. And then, of course, we cut to this other planet, which I don't know the name of, I apologize. and we see Count Dooku observing a gladiator pit. And I guess it's supposed to determine whoever wins that gladiator pit and proves he is the best will become Count Dooku's new apprentice. So then Count Dooku sits down with this random guy, and he just watches the fight. And then out of nowhere, we see Ventress show up, and she actually ditches her disguise, and she actually goes down there and starts kicking ass, and it's awesome. Very awesome. So then, after she wins the gladiator pit, Count Dooku just all of a sudden floats down. I mean, the way it's done, it's just awesome. It makes him pretty much a badass. It's kind of like Count Dracula, except Count Dracula wouldn't be able to turn into a bat. So yes, we see, Count Dooku talking to Ventress, and he says, "You are strong, I'll give you that, but you lack one thing, you're afraid, and Sith are not afraid." So then, it pretty much leads up to a fight, and then out of nowhere, Count Dooku just shocks her. And then as soon as we get out of that, we find out it was just a dream. So yes, or was it a dream? I'm not sure, because, okay, if that was a dream, then what happened? I don't know. So then we see Ventress wake up from her bed, and, she's looking around, and then she goes to check her lightsabers, but then out of nowhere, Count Dooku just shows up and starts attacking her. And then she's able to get her 2 lightsabers and pretty much fight with Count Dooku. But of course, she doesn't know she's fighting one of the greatest Sith masters of all time. So of course, she gets her ass kicked. But then we see the Emperor, who has been watching, and he decides this girl is good. We could use her. So then she allows Count Dooku to take her up as his apprentice. And he gives her the new lightsabers. So yes, so now the Emperor wants her to go destroy Anakin Skywalker. So of course she goes to do that. And then we cut back to Obi-Wan, who is about to arrest the Separatist, and now pretty much, now that he's destroyed Dudge, but just when he's about to do that, Dudge comes back, and we find out he has a healing factor. He's kind of like this tentacle thing that can bring his limbs back. So, of course, when the clones just blast him with rocket launchers and blasters, we finally see his true nature, what Dudge really is. So he tries to swallow Obi-Wan, and we see the commander who, fires a taser cord, and it shocks him. And I guess that somehow gives Obi-Wan a chance to force repulse him. So he pretty much repulses him, and boom, the Dudge is gone completely. So yes, now after that, we cut back to Anakin, who is still fighting. But before we get to that, let's cut back to, we go to Kit Fisto and Padme, and of course Master Windu. Now let's talk about Kit Fisto. Now we see Kit Fisto on the planet Mon Calamari, and he's about to aid the Mon Calamarians with the aid of clone troopers to defend their homeland. So it's pretty cool. I mean, Kit Fisto is, of course, my second favorite badass Jedi, and he just unwails on all of them. So it's pretty awesome. So then, after that, we find out that the battle droids have created this giant cannon which can destroy Republican transporters, I want to call them that. So Kit Fisto creates a giant force orb, and it acts as a solid object. It can destroy anything in its path. So it, of course, destroys the cannon, so the Mon Calamarians gather their pets and tell them to push it off over a cliff. And of course, they win that. Now we cut to Mace Windu, and we see his battle on the planet Alderaan. Yes, we finally get to see what Alderaan is like, and it's pretty nice. I mean, it's pretty much a cool planet, and yeah, it's pretty nice. So he pretty much destroys the battle droids, and then we actually get to see him use his karate skills, the way he just, you know, he uses his bare hands to destroy heavy metal. That's pretty awesome, if you ask me. So then we find that the droids create this giant sand destroyer, which is a giant sand thing that has a giant cannon which can, boom, it can pretty much create sandstorms, but powerful than most sandstorms. So yes, so he destroys it, and of course after that we finally cut to Padme and Yoda. Now before we get to them, we see Master Luminara and her apprentice on the planet, I can't remember what it's called. Yavin, I believe it's called. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yes, and we see her apprentice creating her lightsaber. And we see this is how lightsabers are made. So it was kind of cool to see how they make the lightsabers. We know they harness 2 Adagian crystals, which are pretty rare crystals that power the lightsaber. So yes. So then after that, they get outrun by battle droids and trapped, so they have to keep the debris from falling on them by meditating. And then that's when we see Yoda has to go there. So he goes there, and he battles the battle droids alone, because he doesn't want Padme going, but he says, I will call you if I need you. So yes. So he's able to do what he did in episode 5, I believe. He's able to lift that entire fucking debris up with his hand. It is awesome. So then he's puzzled. He's like, he tells Padme he's worried. Who could have found the location of this planet? And we see R2-D2, you know, connect inside the droids, and we find out that it was Dooku who found that out. So it pretty much creates this big problem for the Republicans. So yes, for the Jedi, I apologize. So finally, we cut to Anakin going after Saz Ventress, who pretty much outdoes him in a dogfight, so he has to go find her on this abandoned planet, which actually is the same planet that appeared in episode 4. I don't know the name of this planet, to be honest. So yes, we see Anakin is about to go in alone, but then he finds out that Obi-Wan sent clone troopers to follow him and assist him. So, as we see, it's kind of like Predator. Saz Ventress uses her cunning and force abilities to destroy all of the clone troopers. She even places explosions on Anakin's ship and the transporter. And it is just awesome. So, of course, we see Anakin fighting Ventress. And they're both evenly matched. And eventually, he actually is able to beat her. So, yes. So now, we pretty much almost cut to the end, but we find out that these Ki and Shao Ti and Alayla and these other 3 Jedi are fighting General Grievous. I won't spoil it here for you, but if you have not seen it, you should go see it. It is awesome. So, this concludes my review of the first animated film, The Clone Wars. Now, what did I think of it? Well, I loved it as a kid, and it was a pretty much great way to follow the events after episode 2 and lead up to episode 3. So it pretty much still holds up. Everything is awesome. So yeah, guys, I would give my verdict for had it backwards. My verdict for Star Wars The Clone Wars gets a solid 10 out of 10 because it's awesome, it's enjoyable, it's actually funny at times. So yes, yes, that concludes my review. Stick tomorrow, I will review part 2, and then we cut to the 4 films left.